Hey, good morning guys and gals. Welcome again to the Batten Farm. Today we're going to make a quick video covering my absolute favorite method of weed control. Now I made a video, I guess it was last year or so, talking about how I used grass clippings a lot of times for animal bedding, animal food in the garden, etc. And that was actually because I didn't have access to what I usually use because my tree guy didn't come through for me, so I got a new tree guy this year. And let me show you what I'm talking about. I am talking about wood chips, and I have a lot of them. My new tree guy was gracious enough to deliver probably 8 or 9 big truckloads for me. And the cool thing about wood chips, if you get them from the tree guy, most people don't realize this, the tree guy has to pay to dispose of wood chips, branches, logs, etc. most of the time. So if you contact them, 9 out of 10 times, they're willing to drop off whatever they get in their truck. And this guy was no exception. I put up a post on Facebook, and he got back to me same day and said, hey, what's your address? I'll drop some off tomorrow. We had a big storm go through the area right before I put the post up. So the odds were in my favor. I was going to get something, and sure enough, and it's all pine, which is going to work really well for my needs around here. The other thing you're going to need is cardboard, and you can get that from any recycling bin, dumpster, wherever. I got a bunch from work, and there's a certain kind you want to get and a way to prepare it. I'll go into that a little later in the video. So I'm going to transport all this to my back field. Let me flip the camera around. I got my trusty loader here. I have a big trailer I'm going to clear out and use to haul this stuff around back. I have another smaller trailer I use as well on my other. And yeah, you don't need much. Just a wheelbarrow, pitchfork, and a little bit of gumption and a good breakfast, and you're ready to roll. So in the spirit of my style of homesteading, it's all about being thrifty, and like I said, this is all free, so this is great. And just contact your local tree service. There's also an app called Chip Drop a lot of people use, although I've heard good and bad things about that, so I like to just go straight to the source. And yeah, it's great. It biodegrades into the soil. The method I use, like I said, it's free, and it enriches the soil every year you do it. So this will be my second time doing this, and I'm looking forward to even better soil the following year. So here we go. All right, so I'm getting things started. I brought a load out here. I brought all my cardboard I'm going to use out here into the garden, and there is a little bit of prep work that goes into the cardboard before you put it down. Of note, if you're collecting cardboard, anything with any colored cardboard or anything with colored paint, you typically want to stay away from, because that can add toxins to your soil. The black ink is the least toxic, if not, if it's toxic at all. Anyway, and there's a couple things you want to do. You can see I have some packing tape, labels, shipping and lading stuff, staples, etc. And you want to just remove all that before you put it in the ground, because you don't want that biodegrading into your soil. And if you garden barefoot a lot of times like I do, you really don't want the staples in there. So I've gotten started, and I'm using a pitchfork. You can see the pitchfork, as opposed to a shovel, really allows you to get in there and take big scoops without getting jammed up. So that's preferred, and I actually got lucky. I found a small roll of just brown paper in a dumpster, and that's just bird poop, not paint down there. So it's clean, it's good to go, and I was able to lay that down and start putting the chips on top of that down the row. And these are my cold crops, this is some of my broccoli, and so I'm just gonna do that on all my rows here. And it's labor intensive, but the benefits are awesome, especially if you have some clay-based soil like I do. A couple years of doing this and tilling the chips into the soil as they biodegrade will actually really add nutrients and make your soil a lot more pliable and workable. And I have very alkaline soil, so it's not gonna make a huge difference, but the pine will actually decrease the pH and make it a little more acidic, which I want with my specific garden. Anyway, so that's how we do it thus far, and I'll show you the finished product when it's all done.
Wind and wind. Come on. Come on.
So I'm working my way down the row here, and as you can see, I have the cardboard all laid out. You want to leave a little bit of room around the plants. It's not an exact science, doesn't have to be perfect. The mulch fills any little any little gaps or anything like that. One issue I do want to address, a lot of people talk about nitrogen suck, and that's with like hugelkultur when you're putting wood chips or wood into the soil. The soil will actually leach some of the nitrogen during the decomposition process and take it away from what could go to your plants or vegetables. So this is not the case here because everything is on top of the soil. And come next year when it gets tilled in, everything will be in a state of decomposition, especially since it's pine. It breaks down quicker than any hardwoods. It'll already be decomposing enough that it won't affect the nitrogen, because I've done this more than once and I haven't had any adverse effects on plant growth whatsoever. All right, so I've been chomping away at this a little bit at a time just because I work full time and family and everything else. It's it's hard to get away. So an hour here, an hour there. Anyway, I've gotten through it a little bit and I've kind of streamlined my process. And I'll give you guys a couple tips to make it easier. First off, if you're going to be doing a large area, you're going to need the bigger the tools, the better. You got I was using a little like 4 cubic foot wheelbarrow, and it took forever. So I actually saved a probably about 10 or 12 cubic foot one from a junkyard and put some new wheels and tires on it. And I always use anything that's not going to be on the road that's small, like trailers, wheelbarrows, anything like that. It's worth spending the extra money for the solid non-pneumatic tires. You never have to worry about a flat, and if your property is like mine, you leave it in the garage, you leave it beside the garage, doesn't matter. Some rodent's going to get it, chew the rubber, blow your tire, it's going to dry rot and crack. It's just a pain in the butt. The tires always blow at the worst times. That's just Murphy's Law, right? Anyway, and then for those of you not familiar, it's probably common sense for most people, but you'll see the wheelbarrow actually has, I'll tilt the camera a little bit, has a slanted side and then a flat side. So when you scoop from it, always scoop from the slanted side. It gives you a nice bite and you'll be able to get everything off all the way to the very end. Works a little easier for you. Anyway, and then the next thing, I wasn't able to go row by row initially just because I got a couple of these rows planted before I got my wood chips. But if you can, get all your stuff together at once. And it's easiest row by row if you're going to do rows. Some people like to just blanket the entire area in cardboard and chips and then just cut holes where they want to plant, and that's, to each their own. I like to do rows. So row by row is the easiest for me, and the wheelbarrow, the smaller one was pointed, so I could go down the rows and dump a little bit and pour a thin line that could just kind of spread out. This one's flat on the front, so if I try to pour in between the rows, it spreads out and covers my what I've already planted, and it's a pain in the butt getting everything dug out. So what I like to do is, you'll see I have all the cardboard put down for one row. Just do one row at a time, and I'm going to go along the row, and you'll see how I do it. Just dump a little bit all the way down the line. Dump a little there, move down, go there, move down, dump a little there, move down, and just do that all the way down. And we're going to do that down the entire row and make sure we have enough that we can spread out, enough volume that we can spread out over the cardboard and have whatever coverage you desire. And then, but before I spread everything out, I'm going to actually till up the next row. I'm going to till right next to it, plant my other plants. So I spread everything out. I can backfill up to and in between the next row. And it's easiest to come out from the side, and it's nice to do it row by row as you go out so you're not crushing what you've already planted. Anyway. All right, so the last step is just getting everything watered in here. And these are just a row of kale I started indoors and just got done hardening off. And it's hard to tell from the camera, but this is all my cold crops for the season. And then just waiting until a couple weeks into May, and then I'm gonna use the plow and disc and hook it to this old tractor and till all this stuff up. Actually, I forgot, I still need to put the wood chips around the my snap peas are all the way up top there. Those are going really well too. But anyway, that's how you do it. And waiting for some of these April showers, which don't seem to be happening. It's been kind of an odd year. But anyway, speaking of showers, one last thing I forgot to mention, I find it easier to get all the labels and stuff and tape off the cardboard if you just leave it outside and let it get rained on a few times. It softens it up, makes it more pliable, and it's easier to rip everything off. So yeah, that's how you do it, and I hope this helps somebody. And hopefully this video doesn't spread too far and cause a wood chip shortage, but even if it does, it's for the greater good. So anyways, until next time, guys, cheers.